So, Krita, for doing so, Krita Shanao, the elevators of everyone's prosperity. Kushalam, all well. Shuragehe, in the house of Shurasen. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Please tell me whether the original personalities of Godhead, who incarnated themselves at the request of Brahma, who is born out of the lotus flower from the Lord, and who have increased the prosperity of the world by elevating everyone, are doing well in the house of Shurasen. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram are not two different personalities of Godhead. God is one without a second, but he expands himself in many forms without their being separate from one another. They are all plenary expansions. The immediate expansion of Lord Krishna is Baladev, and Brahma, born from the lotus flower from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, is an expansion of Baladev. This indicates that Krishna and Baladev are not subjected to the regulations of the universe. On the contrary, the whole universe is under their subjugation. They appeared at the request of Brahma to liberate the burden of the world, and they relieved the world by many superhuman activities so that everyone became happy and prosperous. Without the grace of the Lord, no one can become happy and prosperous. Because the happiness of the family of the Lord's devotees depends on the happiness of the Lord, Vidura first of all inquired about the well-being of the Lord. Oma Ginati Mirandasya, Gyana Gana Shalakaya, Chakshu Unbilitam Dina Tashmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha. Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tansidivam. Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Kruna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Kopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Paramami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhve Eva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Sorry. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Praya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirveshesha Sunyavari Paschatya Rishitarini. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Guratache Namaha. Nandalidamaya Vigrahaya Himadiri Vachabhushandaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. English translation again. Please tell me whether the original personalities of Godhead, who incarnated themselves at the request of Brahma, who was born out of the lotus flower from the Lord, and who have increased the prosperity of the world by elevating everyone, are doing well in the house of Purison. So please tell me. So there are two people who have met, and one is asking the other. So it's actually Vidura that's going on pilgrimages to different sacred places around India. And at one place, he met Ullava. And so me here means Um, anyway, it's Udava, and so the two of them are talking. I've got a little what you call it, moment. um, what you call it, the just a little forgetful, but that's happens sometimes when you're old, nobody gets old. So I apologize for that. Vidura and Udava are talking. So Vidura is the one that's asking Udava about the personalities of Godhead who are actually staying in Dwarka at that time. And as for this particular text talks about why they incarnated themselves on the earth at the request of Brahma. And Brahma was also requested by Mother Bhumi, because there were so many demons on the earth, and they were the ones that were controlling things. And so life had become more difficult for the people. And Mother Bhumi was very, very sorry about that and wanted that changed. And therefore, he requested, in form of a cow, he requested Lord Brahma, talking about the situation on the earth. Therefore, Lord Brahma went to see Lord Vishnu, and um, after he prayed on the bank of the Milk Ocean, then Lord Vishnu told him what was going to happen. That even the demigods that were with Lord Brahma and Mother Bhumi were all told to take birth in the Jadu dynasty in Mathura. Then later on, they went to Dwarka. And so a lot of things happened. Vidura is also taking birth from, Yamaloka is Yamaraj. And so he was also around, but so many things happened, which is explained in the Mahabharata. And finally, when after Vidur was insulted by Duryodhan, he left the palace, he left Hastinapur and started going different places and bathing in the sacred rivers and, just basically just spiritualizing every moment of his trip from one place to another. This is also instructive for us that hopefully as devotees now, we've stopped this whole idea of going to look at material places of popularity. Mm. They're not important. It is better when we're traveling, when we get home, get out of home, go on vacation, something that we actually spiritualize the vacation by going to places that are potent, that especially the Krishna and or Balaram spent time there. Their influence is there. Or the sacred rivers that we bathed in by the Lord, and all of those help in our spiritual growth. At all times, we should be thinking about how to grow spiritually at all times. Apart from the things that we are to do, which is the chanting and the hearing and other kinds of service, we also should think about, so here's my propensity. Here are things that I can do. What can I do materially, that is? But what can I use this to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the devotees? We shouldn't only think in terms of archana, which is important though, the worship of a deity. But Krishna doesn't need anything. Balaram doesn't need anything. And so if we serve the devotees who can be needy, at different times things are supplied, their needs are supplied, but sometimes their needs are not there. And if we take advantage of that situation and serve them, providing whatever they need, then Krishna will be happy with us. So we progress actually quite well the more we serve devotees and serve the spiritual master. The spiritual master's business is 100% Krishna consciousness, disseminating information about Krishna consciousness and living Krishna consciousness practically himself or herself. So they don't have a full-time job, they don't have a part-time job, therefore we have to assist them. Always serving them and even sometimes giving them money so that they can travel with it. Or even if you have enough Lakshmi, getting their tickets to go different places. All of those Krishna notices and it comes to our spiritual bank account as credit. So in this case, Vidura is traveling, and he meets Uddhava, and he wants to know how Krishna and Balaram are doing. So the reason is explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. He says they are not, Krishna and Balaram, they're not two different personalities of Godhead. It's just one, but he expands himself, Krishna expands himself for different reasons, for different purposes. So these many forms are not separate from each other. And as it says, they are plenary expansions. Plenary means, if you look at the dictionary, it will tell you it has about 2 or 3 different meanings, but the meaning that applies to this is complete. So Krishna expands himself to Balaram, and Balaram does not have any deficiencies. He is just as Krishna is in all respects. So, and he is the immediate expansion of Baladev. And as a matter of fact, the existence or the manifestation of the spiritual world is due to Baladev. Srila Prabhupada explains that Brahma is born from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is also an expansion from Baladev. As a matter of fact, it is the sequence is this: from Krishna to Balaram or Baladev. Baladev, we have the Chaturvyuha, the 4 forms, expansions of Vasudev, Anirudh, Sankarshan, and Pradyumna. Then the expansion of, into Narayan comes to be. Then from Narayan expands to another set of Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Aniruddha, Sankarshan, and this time Sankarshan is called Mahasankarshan, and Pradyumna. Now, from this Mahasankarshan comes Karanodakshaya Vishnu or Mahavishnu, whose spores the universes come out of. And then he expands to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is for one universe. One universe is one Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. From the lotus, the stem of the lotus flower, and on top of the lotus flower, which comes from the abdomen of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Brahma is born. And then Brahma is coached later on as to how to bring the varieties of different things in the universe, planets and the things inside the planets, as well as demigods, and he appoints the positions of demigods. So the administration is basically by Brahma, but he has assistants, the demigods, as well as the Manus. They all help in there. So Krishna and Balaram are the rulers in terms of the supreme controllers. Still, we can say Krishna and Baladev and still say are the supreme controller because one is an expansion of the other. So Krishna is the supreme controller. You say Balaram or Baladev, he's also supreme controller because he's a plenary or complete expansion of the supreme personality of Godhead. But the expansions of Krishna are for various reasons. Most of it connected with the pastime of the Lord and other things too that sometimes, the material universes benefit from. The Vishnu creation, the Vishnu expansion, the things that the Lord Vishnu does, all the way up to Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is actually helping us now, even as conditioned souls, in our bodies, in the heart area. 8 to 9 inches in this Krishna's made himself to that expansion of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu and helping the individual souls, which we are not these physical bodies. So they came, one of the reasons is they means Krishna and Balaram. They came to relieve the problems of the world. But their activities are not at the human level. They are superhuman. Janma karma chamedi evam yovitat fata. It says, one who understands that my birth and my activities are divya or divine, transcendental, that person will not take birth in this earth. That person will not take birth in the material world again. They understand what is what. They understand all activities that they hear about Krishna, even if it resembles what a human being would do. They are not human. They are not at the human level. They are transcendental. They're not material. We do material things, and by the mercy of the Guru, we can do other things which are that can be taken by the spiritual master and up the parampara from one spiritual master to the next and offerable to Krishna, even though it starts material, but it can be spiritualized. Material things can be spiritualized for the purpose of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Let me see. Okay, right. So I made host now, so I'll do a few things if you don't mind. Because I want to start sharing. Okay. Hare Krishna. So it is important the way Vidura is showing us to be thinking about the Lord all of the time. First thing that he did, asking Uddhava was, how are Krishna and Balaram doing? Are they doing well? Now, they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You can assume they're doing well at all times because nothing really can actually affect them. But what we're talking about here is connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in love. And because of a love by Vidura for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to know how they were doing. The only way we relate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is through love. As a matter of fact, the only way we should relate to devotees, same thing, through love. It has to be that way all of the time. And that's how we ourselves are going to feel happy. If we begin, let's look at the other way. If we dislike somebody, does that make us feel good? Of course not. It doesn't make us feel good at all. And so the whole idea of our own happiness is to share loving sentiments among each other and to assist each other. And so that's the first thing that Vidura did, share loving sentiments by asking about the well-being of Krishna and Balaram. It also means that he's thinking about Krishna and Balaram all the time, something that Rupa Goswami asks us to do, which is always think of the Lord. Never forget the Lord. Krishna says, I'm known through devotional service. Bhakti Amama Bijarati. And so Rupa Goswami says, yes, everything that is going to help us do devotional service, we must accept. Everything that's going to sabotage our effort to do this devotional service, we should reject. Accept all things favorable to devotional service, reject all things that are unfavorable to devotional service. And in that way, based on the instructions that will be given, we can grow steadily in Krishna consciousness. So, are the sweet two lords, Krishna and Balaram, happy? Well, Srila Prabhupada explains our happiness is tied to that by saying in the purport that without the grace of the Lord, no one can become happy and no one can become prosperous. Without the grace of the Lord, without the Lord permitting from his own heart love us, we can't be happy. Especially in this material world that we're in, which is designed for material happiness and distress. the stress comes. So how does the devotee transcend all of that and stay happy? Well, we've been given instructions about chanting, but we have to chant attentively and chant from the heart and chant desperately. Mm-hmm. When we chant from the heart, the Lord is with us. We feel the Lord's presence, and that makes us happy, and that makes us peaceful. Mm-hmm. We should have the confidence in everyday life that everything that's happening to us, or even from what we ourselves do, to us, from us, because of us, they all should be connected to what Krishna wants. Our life should be given, dedicated practically to serving devotees, to serving Guru, and serving Krishna, beginning with serving devotees. Krishna is most happy when we serve devotees. He says, Mat Bhakta Puja Vyadika. If you worship my pure devotee, I'm happier than even worshiping me directly. So Krishna wants us to serve devotees. He feels happier when we serve devotees. And so that should be an important aspect of our lives. So the happiness of us, all the way up to the families of the Lord's devotees in Dwarka, or Mathura, depends on the time. We went from Mathura to Dwarka. It depends on the happiness of the Lord. So Vidura first inquired about the well-being of the Lord. Then he will inquire about the families later on. So how do we incorporate this in our lives? Well, it starts from Srimad Bhagavatam, the very first text, the first canto, first chapter. That we have to be aware of it all of the time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadya Sayatom Vat in Bayat Itaraskateshu Abhigya Swarat. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Mofyanti Natsiraya. Tejo Vani Mudam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Si Sargo Mesha Tanma Sweda Sana Nirasta Kuakam Satyam Param Dimahi. My Lord Krishna, son of Vasudeva, all-pervading personality of Godhead. First, I offer my respectful obeisances to you. At all times, we reveal a few things. Sometimes when we're chanting, since Lord Chaitanya has told us, please place me at your lotus feet like one of the atoms at your lotus feet. We can imagine ourselves very small and at the lotus feet of the Lord, offering obeisances. That picture in our mind as we're chanting. This is a suggestion, but some of us do that, imagining ourselves very small at the lotus feet of the Lord and calling out his name as we chant. Respectful obeisances. So if we in this obeisance posture, then we're offering obeisances the whole time in our mind when we're chanting. We have to meditate on the Lord Krishna because this text here tells he is the absolute truth. Vyasadeva is talking about. And he is the primeval cause of all causes connected with the creation of the universes, the sustenance, Nitya Nityanam, Chaitanya Chaitanam, Eko Bahunam Yovadarati Kaman, the one person that sustains all. And the destruction of manifest universes, they go into the body through the pores of Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu is an expansion of Krishna. Expansion of expansion of expansion of expansion of Krishna. So there is no cause beyond him. He's conscious directly or indirectly of all manifestations. And then he's the one that imparted the Vedic knowledge to Brahmaji, the original living being. So this is all explained in the very first text of the Bhagavatam. So only because of him do the material universes appear the way they do. So we meditate upon it. who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, and the transcendental abode is totally free forever from any illusory representations of the material world. Remember, the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Like if you go to the bank of a river, when a tree is close to that bank, that river will show the reflection of the tree. But you also notice something else. Because there are ripples of flowing, water flowing in the river, that image will not remain as still as the real tree looks like. So it is perverted. It is the image, all right, but it doesn't look everything being exactly in the same place in the image as it is in the real thing. That's the way the material world is. So it's a perverted reflection. Life here has certain things that are not allowed in terms of them being against morality and so on. But those things are in their perfection in the spiritual world. Krishna dances with the gopis, sometimes in the middle of the night. The dances with the gopis, but the gopis have husbands. So under material law, that's not a good thing to do. That's against the law. But it is the highest ras in the spiritual world. So it makes it difficult sometimes to even wrap our minds around it because we are used to the laws here. But the laws here are prison laws. That's what we have to understand. They are prison laws, and the Lord is not bound by any laws. He is the controller. But it's also explained that these activities, some of them are looked at as, well, if you steal, you're going to get punished. But Krishna takes whatever he wants at any time from anywhere. Hmm? He doesn't get punished. People actually love him for doing that. So, no, it's like, as they say in America, go figure. Hmm? How do you reconcile all of that in our minds? So things are upside down in the material world, including the laws. The same activities in the spiritual world are considered wonderful that are against the law in the material world. So really, all we can do is follow the instructions in the scriptures, follow the instructions by the spiritual master, and get out of this unusual and in some ways weird place that we're living. This is a weird life. And you can tell how people are trying to live this life now. And so many things that can help them come up to the mode of goodness are being rejected now. So it's like passion and ignorance. That's predominant now. Even in living this dharma, artha, kama, moksha, religious or religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. What are people doing now? They're living, it's four of them, but they live in two. Artha, kama, that's it. Economic development, sense gratification. That's what people are doing now. They're not religious and forget liberation. So this is the life. How can people who are living that way, artha and kama, only lust, sense gratification, and then economic development? This is exactly what every country is trying to do. The leaders are trying to get the economy of the country being better, and the people are involved in sense gratification. Artha kama, that's it. So how can anyone get out of this mess when they're living based on artha and kama only? And that is the issue. So when we think about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it also means that we have to follow what he have been he's come to speak of himself in Bhagavad Gita and what his own incarnations as well as pure devotees have spoken about in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That goes past Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. It goes to transcendence directly, bhakti. So Vyasadeva says, I meditate upon Sri Krishna. Still, this is the first text of Srimad Bhagavatam. He's eternally existent in a transcendental abode, and it's free from all of these illusory representations of the material world. These things that are here, just like we mentioned, Artha and Kama, people think they are going to be happy with just that economic development and sense gratification. Mm-hmm. But that's illusory. Illusory means that they think that that's going to give them happiness, but it never does. And it can't. It's not designed that way. Mm-hmm. So then what should we do? Well, in Canto 5, Chapter 5, the Lord himself, in his expansion as Maharaj Vrishabhadev, is advising his sons. Mm-hmm. And he says, here's what you do. My dear sons, accept a highly elevated Paramahansa, a spiritually advanced spiritual master. We should offer ourselves to the spiritual master and serve the spiritual master. He's a representative of Krishna. Therefore, if we have faith in the spiritual master, we automatically have faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we have love for the spiritual master, we have love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the question becomes, how do we love a spiritual master? We love a spiritual master not only by obeying his instructions, but it actually starts from relating well and loving the devotees. The spiritual master is there because of the devotees. Mm-hmm. So if we learn to love the devotees, how do we love people? We assist them. We serve them. The way we show love is by serving. Mm-hmm. So that's what Maharaj Shabade was telling his sons for our benefit, just like Krishna was talking to Arjuna also for our benefit, what's recorded as Bhagavad Gita. Mm-hmm. So when we accept spiritual master will lead us to Krishna with the aim of having us develop Krishna prema. So Maharaj Shabade says, accept a spiritual master, heavy with knowledge, bona fide. We place our faith and love in the Supreme Personality of Godhead through that way. Now, other things that we should do, other things we should not do, he also instructed. One of the things we shouldn't do is kama. We should detest sense gratification and also understand that this material world is designed with pleasure and pain. At the material level, pleasure and pain, happiness and distress. But they come and they go, just like the seasonal changes. Summer comes, it gets too hot for us. Winter comes, it gets too cold for us. What does he say to do? Tolerate. We are only here for a short while. It's the shortest time we can live. The Yuga, which gives the shortest lifetime, is Kali Yuga. And that's what we need now. So we should detest sense gratification. And people are doing economic development and sense gratification. But Maharaj Vrishabhadev is saying, get away from sense gratification. Mm-hmm. Also, try to realize the miserable condition of living entities who are miserable even in the higher planetary systems. We should have, so this is for the mind now. Life is difficult, it's a miserable condition we're living in. Mm-hmm. From Brahmaloka to Pataloka. Nobody is totally peaceful. Total peace doesn't exist anywhere in the material world. And if total peace doesn't exist, then there is a miserable condition at different levels in the material world, depending on whether you're in a higher planetary system, medium planetary system, or lower planetary system. There is some measure of misery that's there. Mm-hmm. Those who are on the hellish planets are going through the greatest misery. Then think through the truth. Philosophically inquire about the truth. Tadvidi panipatena paripashnena sevaya. And if you see how Maharaj Vrishabhadev put this, first it says, accept a spiritual master. Then you philosophically inquire about the truth. From who? From a spiritual master. Hmm? Then be convinced about the need to do devotional service to the point that even if the austerities are involved in it, do it anyway. Do it anyway. We're trying to love Krishna. We're trying to please Krishna. Therefore, if the challenges come, for the sake of devotional service, do it anyway. Do it anyway. Don't. The challenges will come as reason for Maya to tell us to drop the service. You should never buy that. Never accept that. Do the service anyway. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that this is Srila Prabhupada quoting. He says, when I go through difficulties in devotional service, that's when I'm the happiest. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Just paraphrasing what Srila Prabhupada quoted about Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He loves Krishna so much that if he's serving Krishna devotionally and problems come, then he gets even more determined to serve. And that should be our attitude. Then sense enjoyment is to be stayed away from, sense gratification to be stayed away from, so much so that Maharaj Shabade brings it up again. First, we should detest it. We shouldn't have anything. And therefore, we should also give up the endeavor for it, for sense enjoyment. And rather than do that, engage in the service of the Lord, because it brings transcendental happiness. Material happiness is one thing, and it's temporary. And it's not deep. But transcendental happiness comes from engaging in the service of the Lord, serving the Lord's devotees. And we stress in serving the Lord's devotees so much because many of us think about serving the deity, but we don't realize that serving devotees is actually the beginning of developing love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's where it starts. I remember Radha Maharaj talked about it also. It's even written in one of the cups, regular cups that we drink, water from or tea from or whatever. You put it on the side. Service to the Lord. Krishna Prema begins with love of devotees. We start with devotees. And we should chant and chant and chant. And everyone, Srila Prabhupada, this is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's translated, Lord Chaitanya is saying, whoever we meet, induce them to chant. If they will hear you, because some people don't want to hear the glories of the Lord, and it's an offense to kind of push the Lord on them if they don't want to hear it. But if they'll hear you, then you should make sure as a devotee that whatever you tell that person, they should have the message that there is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra that they should chant. They should start chanting that. Never leave that out of it. If they're ready to hear you, then you just have your conversation, have your preaching in such a way that sometime in the beginning, middle, end, maybe towards the end, arrive at the important point of them having to chant. They're listening to you, but tell them they have to chant. Everywhere you go, Lord Chaitanya said that. Induce people to chant, which is exactly what he was doing in Navadvip. Every day out there, Harinam, inducing people to chant. Then he went around different towns in India and villages in India. Even through the Jarikanda forest, he had the animals chant. If the Lord would induce the animals to chant, how much more human beings? So then he says, some people may be inimical to us. That is, they see us as their enemies, but we shouldn't have any enemies ourselves. We shouldn't have any enemies. What does that mean? Well, are there sometimes people who do certain things to make us upset? Yes, there are. And this is how enmity starts. Or sometimes it's just through competition, wanting something. Out of envy or the jealousy, enmity may start. Now, we shouldn't have any enemies. Should we think that somebody's done something wrong? Yes, that can happen mentally. Is that person our enemy? No. How should we think of them then? They have mental sickness. They are sick. Now, as soon as you bring the mind to the point of seeing that person as sick, we already know we do not hate sick people. We try to get them to heal or direct them where they can get healing, get better. And as soon as we see anybody that's done something negative to us as a sick person, mentally sick person, we will not hate them. And if we don't hate them, they don't become an enemy. So we should begin to look at the sickness of people on the earth rather than people doing, they should have known better and they did not do better. Well, a sick person does not do better mentally because their mind is the way it is. Hmm? Also, the important thing, have full faith in the revealed scriptures, the Vedic literatures, and then observe celibacy. Hmm? Have full faith in the revealed scriptures, the Vedic literatures, especially Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, hmm? And practice celibacy. Observe it. She also tells them, because at that time they could do it, live in a secured place and practice the process by which you can control your life, air, mind, and senses. We are doing now the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra as the way to control the mind, the senses. And as for the life air and the moving of the life air, these are all given to us as we got a break from it. We just have to chant and all of that's covered. So we don't have to go through the Ashtanga process, Ashtanga yoga process. Some of it is incorporated. Yama, niyama, those are things that are prohibited, we should not do. And those are the 4 regulative principles, won't get into it. And the things that we should do, those are the 9 processes. So those are our yam, niyam. Other than that, we're chanting and serving based on the 9 processes for service given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You have prescribed duties, perform them. Seriously, should be on the back of your mind. And no prajalpa. Maharaji Shabbadev said, avoid unnecessary talks. So you acquire knowledge from the right source. Always think about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and acquire knowledge from the right source. What's the right source? Well, for us, it's been given to us pretty easily. Srila Prabhupada has pulled all the right source, and he himself is the right source, and he's written the purports to the important books of our lives, Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So, with that advice that Maharaj Shabbadev was talking about, we were practicing Bhakti Yoga. Those are the details of practicing Bhakti Yoga. And with that, patiently and enthusiastically, we'll be elevated in knowledge, and our practice and our lives will be different. And also, one of the advantages of this is the false ego will be given up. We will understand our positions as atoms at the lotus feet of the Lord, that we've suggested that actually imagine that while we're chanting. Be in front of the Lord that way, as a small atom at his lotus feet. And so doing that based on what he said to do, Maharaj Shabbadev said to do, we will patiently and enthusiastically at the same time be elevated in knowledge. Patience and enthusiasm, and determination. Those are the nectar of instruction written by, well, actually dictated by Lord Chaitanya and written by Rupa Goswami. So that way, then our bhakti will be strong and we will be able to affect other devotees on other people. We'll be relating well to other devotees and we can affect other people and induce them to chant the holy name. Because once they start chanting, their way back to Godhead now is established. People are blocked, if you can imagine that in your mind. Non-devotees are blocked. They are blocked such that the iron bars are there. There's no way of getting out of this material world. This is prison. But we are just getting paroled by how we're living our lives. We are also in the prison, but mentally we're out of the prison already. It's just a matter of when the physical body is supposed to breathe its last breath, and then we're out of here. But real kindness is to induce other people to also start their way out. And the things that we need to do and our consciousness, the way it needs to be, has been explained by Lord Yeshavadev in this Canto 5, Chapter 5. This text actually 10, 11, 12, and 13 together, the instructions that Maharaj Yeshavadev gave. So yes, the Lord, out of love, Vidura was asking Uddhava how Krishna and Baladev are doing, because he himself, at all times, he misses the Lord. Vidura misses the Lord. Yamaraj misses the Lord. Why else would he come, leave Yamaloka, and give the instructions of how to run it to Chitragut, his deputy, and then come to this earth when the Lord took birth here, just to meet the Lord, just to meet the Lord. Very, very instructive to us. So Srila Prabhupada is telling us through this translation how, and in his purports, how we are to think about the Lord all the time. Think of the devotees, serve spiritual master, and then you serve the Lord. You serve the Lord with ease that way. Very grateful for all of this, and grateful for also you coming to hear this morning the Srimad Bhagavatam by the guidance of my spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. And this is time, like a few of us, but you can unmute yourself and make some comments if you so wish to. Hare Krishna. Anyone wants to speak, you can unmute yourself. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Oh, Sumai Mataji, I thought you wanted to. Okay, she's gone. All right, if there are no comments, then thank you very much for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank
you. Nita, did you want to say something?
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice, Prabhuji. Very and Hare Krishna. Very nice class, Prabhuji. Every word is important. What you said, very nice, and you need to apply it. And then we, like, for example, I don't know. I'm going to explain it correctly. When we meet other people and they say something to us, and when we don't respond, and we are still nice to them, this happens only when we read the Bhagavatam. You said believe in Shastra, then our mind becomes, we see everyone equal. Yeah. But it needs a lot of practice, actually.
Absolutely. Everything needs practice. Everything needs practice. Then it becomes second nature. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't beat ourselves in the practice.
Listen to. And how do we listen attentively? Sometimes because we are not able to recollect everything. So that means we are not listening attentively. I'm not listening attentively. So how do we listen attentively?
Well, first, in our minds, when we listen, some things we remember and some things we won't, because our mind in Kali Yuga is like that. It's not the greatest. We're not like Shrutidara, as a person who hear once and then can remember everything. Unfortunately, the progression of Kali Yuga doesn't allow us now to have that kind of mind. But at least science has now given us the means to record these things so that we can hear later on. And for us, even hearing has to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And then, more and more of it sticks in our mind, and then we begin to use that in practice, actual practice. And that's how we will be able to go on with our service at an elevated level. So, don't do anything else. One of the easiest way to get good attention when you're hearing is focus on the hearing only, not trying to do something else and hear, and then it becomes you'll miss a lot. You'll miss a lot of what's being said if your mind is anytime you're doing something else and the teaching or the preaching is going on. Every time the mind gets centered or pushed to the thing that you're doing. Whatever was said, you missed it like that. And that's why one of the easiest way to remember a lot more of what's being preached is not do anything else, just give full attention to, yeah.
And when we are in the group, I have seen that in the group, if our bhakti is not strong, we begin to forget what we know. So we have to give more time and be strong and remember Krishna.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like we go in the flow.
Yeah, if we chant, I mean, there's the japa that we have to do. It's good that you can finish the japa in the morning. There's no hard and fast rule, so we have to finish the japa at least a minimum 16 rounds every day. But then when we're not having our beadbacks or the beads in our hands and we're doing other activities, we still can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It has a very powerful effect of having us remember the Lord in all the things that we're doing. We chant anyway. Sometimes even the shortest, which is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We're doing stuff and still saying Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I remember just for exercise, I was in Alacho at the time, it was 1998. And a few devotees who could play tennis would get over just for working out in the mornings on Saturday after the class. They wanted to get together and play. So four of us would be playing. And it's like there was one particular devotee that every time he hits the ball, he says, Hare Krishna. So basically, you can never get that from a kami. I don't play tennis anymore. Somebody's gotten over. But at the time, one of the workouts was I played competitively in college. But so yeah, but with devotees, it was fun because if you missed the ball, it means Krishna. Every time it would be Krishna's name. I mean, in play, right? It would be Krishna's name. That's associated with devotees. That's what it reminds you of Krishna all the time. So yeah, devotee sangha is you can't beat it. You can't. It's just what makes us alive and keep going in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Go Shri Prabhupada. All right. So only one first. Okay, well, two. If not, then I guess we can stop here. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Have a nice, wonderful weekend. Hare Krishna. Balaram Jayanti coming, Janmashtami coming.